Adam and Luke, welcome to CNN News 18.
Thank you for having us.
Now, your documentary, The Speedway Murders, which is directed by both of you, will be screened at the upcoming Red Lorry Film Festival, which will be held in Mumbai and Hyderabad between March 21st and 23rd. Now, the film is about an unsolved murder case about four teenagers who disappeared in the year 1975 from a burger joint where they worked, and their bodies were discovered in the nearby forest. So this much I know. So then please tell us more about the film and what audiences can expect when they will watch the film here in India.
I was just going to say, I mean, I think they can expect sort of a fresh take on true crime, maybe something that even sort of hardcore fans won't have seen before. When we set out to do it, we were pretty adamant to do something inventive and innovative. And, you know, I think true crime audiences these days are pretty sophisticated. So we wanted to challenge them. We wanted to do something interesting, something that was kind of faithful to the story, you know, delivered the information that it needed to deliver. You know, it twists and turns like any good case. You know, I think it's even parts sort of gripping and sad and interesting and frustrating, and you know, all the good things that true crime can be.
You would like to add something?
Yeah, I mean, I just kind of second what Adam said. We went at it from a very different perspective, and we always wanted to kind of make it a very human story. So like beyond the circumstances of the crime, we wanted to present it in a way where the kids were treated as characters and not victims. And, you know, I feel like we, you know, we've given them a voice that they haven't had for, 45 years. So, yeah.
So then how has been the feedback to the film? And how do you think Indian audiences will be able to connect with the film? Because the story is set in 1978 America.
Yeah. We're actually Australian. Oh, sorry. We're Australians as well. So that's the interesting thing, is that we took on this case from America, which is 45 years old. And everybody's asked us that, like, as two Australians, like, what drew you to it? And we just think the story itself was so compelling and so tragic. And we couldn't turn our backs on it once we sort of, it got its hooks into us. And it was out of everything that we were working on, it was almost like we had to drop everything and just, jump into it, everything that we had. And it, that's what happened from the moment that we got involved in it to the moment that we delivered the film and beyond, because, doing, festivals and press and stuff, and it still, permeates through us, and we still haven't been able to let it go. We're still dealing with the families, and people are still coming in with tips, and that we're passing on to police. So like, it's very much a part of us.
In answer to your question as well, and I don't know, I mean, I've been to India, but I wouldn't say that I've sort of traveled there extensively, but in Australia anyway, I mean, American culture is so pervasive. In some ways, going over there is almost a little bit nostalgic for us because of the culture that we grew up with. The streets look like establishing shots from sitcoms that we watched growing up. So even though it is an American story, we didn't really feel like outsiders. For us, there was something very familiar about it. Also, we love the kind of cinema of that period, and in some ways that sort of inspired the recreations for us. So, a lot of it was very familiar to us, even though we're not American. So it'll be interesting to see how Indian audiences respond.
How you came to know about this incident, and what prompted you to make this documentary about this subject?
Luke came to me. We were looking for a story. Luke is a true crime sort of tragic in the extreme, to the point where I worry about him a bit sometimes. But he came to me with the case and he said, hey, I think this story is fantastic. I think the investigation was botched. I think there's value that we can add doing our own investigation. I think he liked it initially because of, as I said, we love that kind of period in American history, the cinema, the costume, the sort of fashion, the music. So we were drawn to it because of that, and it was just sort of. I'm a journalist by trade, so I said, okay, well, let's see what's there. And I made a few calls, and it just kind of, we went down a rabbit hole from there that we never quite emerged from.
Are you planning to visit in Mumbai?
I mean, we would like to, if we could get over there. Like, we definitely would love to do a Q&A and bring it over there.
I mean, we don't have plans to at this stage. It's all kind of come together pretty quickly, so the short answer is no, but we'd love to, if it would be possible.
We came to IFFI and we did a Q&A, and that went really well, and it was like, it was packed.
For this film?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it was a busy session. It was part of an Australian delegate selection. So like Australia had selected some films to be taken over for, to show at the festival and to show off some of the, kind of the skills that the filmmakers had. And we were part of that. And that was, very busy screening. And we love Indian audiences. Like, we love that you guys are so vocal and, very truthful, which is awesome. It was very, very busy and really good Q&A and everything as well.
We've got a really big Indian population here. Mostly sort of, for some, I'm not sure why, maybe you can answer, but mostly sort of people from the north. We got a lot of Punjabis here, but there's a big Indian community. So we've got a pretty good Indian food and culture and art scene here. So yeah. Yeah,
I think Indian cinema is like the third biggest in Australia as well. Like,
yeah. That's right.
Yeah.
I was about to ask you, are you familiar with Indian cinema and Indian actors?
So when I was in India, I was there for about 6 weeks, and every time I'd turn on the television in the hotel, we'd see commercials for this kind of Bollywood blockbuster called Doom 2, I think it was the sequel. I remember the what does machale mean?
Doom machale.
Yeah, what does it mean?
Just have a great time, happy time.
So every time I turn on the TV, I'd see this ad that they did. It was like a partnership with Coke. It was like Coke machale, Doom machale. So when we were in Mumbai, which was the last stop, I said to my partner, I'm like, we've got to go to the cinema and see this movie because it's been everywhere, and I have to see a Bollywood movie while we're in Mumbai. So we did, and we didn't, there were no subtitles or anything, and we didn't have much of an idea about what was going on, but gosh, it was a spectacle. And I've still at home got the promotional popcorn bucket from the cinema. So yeah.
Yeah, I can vouch for that because I've seen it at his house, and it actually looks really cool. It's been there for years, and it's really cool.
It's one of my favorite travel memories. Yeah.
But coming back to the Speedway murders, how much time it took you, to both of you, to make this film, and where all this was shot? Of course, this was shot in America.
It was shot in Australia.
Well, the interviews were shot in America, and the drama component was shot in Australia.
And how much time
with Australian actors?
How much time it took you to make this film? How much?
So we started in 2018 doing the interviews, but then like in Australia, it sort of works like you get funding sort of incrementally. So we didn't have all of the money straight away. And in the beginning, we funded it ourselves, and we went over there and we with a DP, and we just got some interviews. And then it was a pretty big journey. And then COVID happened, and we kind of, we couldn't get back out there. So we had to rethink it. And then we came up with the idea that we were going to do the recreations and build the restaurant in Australia and have the kids as characters in the restaurant. And we then we got funded, and then we were able to spend, you know, a decent amount of money, like with the recreations. And there was a restaurant that was it was actually a Chinese restaurant, I think, and we were able to knock down all of the walls and go in there and build windows and turn it into. We had an engineer come in and we turned it into the diner, and that took about, I think that was about 9 weeks. And then we had rehearsals with our actors. We shot it in about 3 weeks once we had our actors and the restaurant was built. So it was longer to build the restaurant than we actually had to shoot the film.
What is the message then the film is carrying? Is there a message in the film?
I think,
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I think the message for us is, well, I think it's kind of there's 2 things I hope people take away from it, put it that way. That, you know, we should remember these kids for the people that they were, not the kind of footnote in history of this just heinous crime. So that's one big thing. That was a really, you know, something that drove us throughout the production, was that these kids should be remembered for what they might have been, you know. And the other thing is, don't stop, you know, seeking justice, because, you know, I think part of the reason that people were so generous with their time with this, everyone from, you know, people involved in law enforcement to the families and witnesses and even potential suspects, I think there's this genuine kind of yearning that the truth comes out. And so, you know, I think the day that people start, it's very frustrating for us that if you know, when you sort of start to research this crime, there's one theory that gets put forward, and even people in law enforcement, including the one of the detectives who was the lead detective on the case, says, "Oh, we know who did it, but we just can't prove it." And the problem with that is people stop asking questions, and the day that happens, you know, the chance of there being answers for the families sort of dies with them.
Well, with that, I want to say thank you for talking to me. Looking forward to watch the film. Thank you so much and all the best.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.